I'm Christy Vega-Gluch from Phoenix Cake Company, and today I'm going to show you how to make instant fondant. I am actually making a marshmallow fondant, and typically fondant is used to give you a nice smooth finish on your cake. You can also use fondant when you roll it out and use fondant circles as fondant embellishments on cakes. So fondant is very versatile. This recipe tastes yummy. So it's not your typical bad tasting fondant that you get in the stores. So first of all, you want to start with mini marshmallows. These are easier to melt. Don't get the jumbo ones because they're too big and these melt a lot quicker. And spend a little money on the better type of marshmallows rather than generic because it's all about the flavor. And so this is one of those areas where you want to, spend a little bit more cash. So first, before I start melting these, this is an all-purpose shortening. We're just going to grab a little bit. I'm using a glove, but you can, use your hands. Your hands wash. So we're going to smear. This is where we're going to put the marshmallows in, and we're going to melt these in the microwave. So we're going to grease the bowl. And while I have my hands messy here, I'm going to grease my mixing bowl as well. And, be pretty liberal with it. I mean, I'm coating it pretty good. Okay, so once those are greased, I'm going to take my glove off, and you want to pour all of these in your bowl. To this bowl, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of water. This is just room temp. It doesn't need to be hot or cold. Then you're going to microwave this in 30-second increments. You want to keep watching this because you don't want it to burn. We do it about every 30 seconds. You stir it, and you want to incorporate everything together and make sure it's thoroughly melted because you don't want little pieces of marshmallow in there. The reason why you add the water, this actually helps. If you throw them outside the bowl, that's fine. Throw them back in. This actually helps in the melting process. So you kind of want to gradually do this. Once this is melted, the recipe goes fairly quickly. So, also while this is melting, I use a KitchenAid to make my fondant. It's a lot easier. You can do it by hand. So if you choose to do it by hand, I would just grab another stainless steel bowl, something that's bigger. And then this part where I'm going to show you now, you would just throw everything into your bowl. But I actually prefer using a mixer. A stand-up mixer, and also I use a paddle. The dough hook attachment. You can also use the paddle attachment, but it actually makes it a little bit easier towards the end when everything's coming together to use the dough hook. So I'm continuing to melt here. Like I said, it's gradually getting there. We also are going to use confectioner's sugar, powdered sugar. This is sifted. This is about 2 pounds, approximately 7.5, 8 cups of powdered sugar. Make sure that this is sifted. You do not want lumps and rocks in your fondant. That's not good. So make sure it's sifted. Have it pre-sifted. That way when everything is melted, everything is going to come together fairly quickly. So you want to make sure that this step is prepped ahead of time. We also are going to add some flavoring. This is actually a butter vanilla emulsion. I like to use the emulsions as opposed to an extract because the emulsions, they tend to hold up better with icings, and especially in baking. There aren't any alcohol in. There isn't alcohol in here, so it doesn't evaporate. So the flavor stays true. Big important ingredient also is corn syrup. Corn syrup is for pliability. You want the fondant to stretch a little bit. So once your marshmallows are melted, this is our Fondant or butter vanilla emulsion. You can add any flavoring you want. If you don't have butter vanilla emulsion, you can use vanilla extract. You can, if you like almond, you can use almond extract. So any of those work. I actually want to flavor this pretty heavily, so I actually put a tablespoon of butter vanilla emulsion. I put in approximately a half teaspoon of salt. If you can get popcorn salt, it has a very fine grain to it and it melts a little bit easier in the marshmallows. Let's see, a half teaspoon. This is just lemon extract. You can also add fresh lemon juice. And a tablespoon of corn syrup. I kind of do a heaping tablespoon. Like I said, the corn syrup acts as kind of the stretchy element for the fondant. So as you're putting it over the cake, it gives a little bit, and that's very important. Okay, so once this is all in your melted marshmallow, you want to stir it all up. Okay, at this point, we're going to pour it into our mixing bowl. Be careful because this tends to get a little bit hot, so you don't want to melt your fingers off. Like I said, this is a little bit messy. You can lick the bowl when you're done. Give it to one of your kids. Okay. So I actually, before I put it on, I put everything in the mixing bowl before I put it on. It's just easier for me because once it's on here, the dough hook kind of gets in the way. So we're actually going to put about a third of the powdered sugar. Put it on your mixer. Like I said, if you're doing this by hand, you would do the same process, but you would just be doing this in a larger mixing bowl and with a spoon. You're going to put this on low speed. Don't do it on speed, 8 or 10, and then powdered sugar is going to go everywhere. So do it low speed first, and then gradually as it's incorporating, and you'll see it as it's coming together. You don't want to add your next batch of powdered sugar until this is actually, you can see each of the addition of powdered sugar until it's incorporated, and then you keep adding more powdered sugar. And what we're going to do as this is incorporating the last part of this, we're going to dump it out on their table here, and we're going to knead the rest of the powdered sugar in. Okay, so once your fondant is mixed, we're going to take it off the mixer. This gets a little messy. It's okay. Okay, so we're going to take this off. Always have your shortening handy. I'm going to rub my hands liberally with the vegetable shortening. Okay, so with your remaining 2 cups of your powdered sugar, you're going to sprinkle this on your countertop. We're going to dump this out. Kind of sticking to the bowl a little bit. So what I'm doing is kneading in the rest of the powdered sugar. It's one of the ways you can kind of tell if you need more powdered sugar as you're kneading this in is if you can feel it with your hands and it's sticking to your fingers, it's too sticky. I always like to knead this in as needed because if you throw too much in, your fondant's going to get too dry, and that's not good. You want it to have a little stretch to it. It's always nice to have one of these little bench scrapers on hand. So if you have some pieces that get stuck, you can work that back in. A lot of the times when I do this, I have about a cup or so left over. But like I said, you really have to feel this out. We're almost getting to that point. I am going to show you, this is some fondant, same recipe. I did this a few hours ago. And I want to show you to the point about where you're going to need to get this. This is definitely a lot stiffer. As you're working with this, the warmth of your hands as you knead this, right before you roll this out, is where you need it. But this is, see how stretchy that is? And it has, I don't know if you can tell or not how stiff it is, but it has a lot of stretch to it. And this is why I like the marshmallow fondant, because it gives you that elasticity. So that was one that I did earlier. So this is the one that we're working on now. And this is still, it's still very soft. As this cools down, the marshmallows cool down, it will get stiffer. So that's why you don't really want to use your marshmallow fondant right away. You want to actually let it sit for a couple hours at room temp. You don't need to refrigerate it if you're going to use it in a few hours, because then it's going to get a little too hard. So once we get it right where we want it, a good measure of how to check this, you know, I'm putting my fingerprints in here, and I'm pressing down on this, and it's kind of giving back a little bit. So that's a good indication that you're there. Okay, so that's how you make instant fondant. I'm Christy Vega-Gluch from Phoenix Cake Company. Thank you for watching, and please visit our website for more inspirational cake pictures and ideas, phoenixcakecompany.com.